So President Donald Trump continues to be very unhappy with Fox News, especially after polls, of course, have showed him struggling to keep up with Joe Biden in a lot of different places. Add on to that, though, the fact that Fox recently just announced that Chris Wallace would be the moderator of the first debate. Now, I believe that was something that was announced earlier this week or even last week. And so, well, that's got Trump, again, even more angry at the news station that he used to love and still does hate watch, along with CNN and MSNBC. You know he hate watches this because he spends, what else is he going to do during executive time? But now, Vanity Fair's Gabriel Sherman wrote about this, and he reported on Thursday that Chris Wallace, being the first debate moderator, despite of course being a Fox host, has made Trump very, very unhappy because the administration knows that he's not going to go easy on Donald Trump. And again, if you're familiar with Chris Wallace, he does actually get kind of tough on Republicans, on Trump. And you got to give him credit, even though he's a conservative himself. Now, one former West Wing official said to him, quote, "Any Republican who thinks Wallace will go easy on Trump is badly mistaken. He's no joke." Look, I've had to give him credit before. I mean, you're right. Now, according to Sherman's sources, the campaign was hoping that the debate commission would choose some more friendly hosts towards Donald Trump, including Bret Baier or Martha McCallum, two anchors who are more Trump-friendly, saying, quote, "Anyone but Wallace." Now, again, they've been pretty tough, right? Pretty tough on Donald Trump. Chris Wallace has. And some of the pro-Trump hosts, even Sandra Smith, has been fairly tough on Republicans as well as Donald Trump. And so, again, it makes sense that they would try to lobby against Chris Wallace. In fact, one of the things that they say, these more pro-Trump hosts, like Sean Hannity, they say, well, we can't choose Wallace because he's a Democrat. What does that have to do with anything? Look, it's funny calling him a Democrat, right? Because what he is he's essentially, and this is sort of a new phrase that I'm going to coin here. He's a Lincoln Project Republican, right? So he's one of those, never Trump, but I'm still pretty conservative. I still agree with him on a lot of issues, but he's rude, and I don't like that. And he's a little too honest about what he thinks about certain things. And so it's kind of good for my career to push back, right? That's a Lincoln Project Republican. And so Chris Wallace is a Lincoln Project Republican. And so now, of course, that also means that, interestingly enough, he's one of those people that are trying to make in good with the Democratic Party, since the Republican Party has proved to be nothing more than, Trump cultists and QAnon fanatics at this point, okay? And so now that's bad for the Democratic Party because, well, I mean, the Lincoln Project is trying to take over the Democratic Party and make it into the new Republican Party, which means we've got two right-wing parties right here. Not good. Not good at all. That said, right? So there's some divisions at Fox News since the death of Roger Ailes. Behind the camera, Hannity and Wallace had actually been at each other's throats. Quote, this is quoting Sherman, "Several years ago, they got in a heated email exchange. At one point, Hannity told Wallace the only reason he had a job in TV was because of his famous father, the legendary 60 Minutes anchor." Trump later tweeted that same attack against Wallace. I wonder where he got it from. Especially since Sean Hannity and Donald Trump tend to talk a lot with each other. But of course, all this has led to increasing attacks against Fox News by the president. Sherman says, perhaps anticipating a grilling by Wallace, Trump is ratcheting up his anger at Fox, lashing out at Fox News polling, showing him losing, claiming it's wrong and bad when every other poll in the country, of course, shows something similar. In a lot of swing states, Joe Biden has a small advantage, and nationally has about a 12-point advantage. And so, okay. Now, look, I'm a little bit slightly wary of polls, because it's one of those things where you can't really get complacent about these things. Not necessarily saying the polling is wrong, but there is a situation, and it's a nightmare scenario, where once again Donald Trump could lose the popular vote, but eke out a win in the Electoral College. Because again, the Electoral College decides who's president. And so it is a must win. And so you really can't take polling for granted, especially since Donald Trump is caught up in Florida. And we'll really have to see, how the next month or so plays out. Who knows? Trump might have an October surprise. If there's a vaccine, which I hope there is, and it is proven to be effective, that could, of course, alter things as well. And so we'll see. But anyway, Fox News, again, on the receiving end of a lot of anger, especially since Fox News confirmed the Atlantic report that Trump called fallen soldiers losers and suckers. That even led to Trump trying to get a Fox News reporter who reported on it fired. And so there's some growing animosity going on here. And now Trump, as a result, has taken to promoting One America News. So that's like the insane conspiracy theory channel that is even further to the right than Fox News, OANN. And of course, there's a reason. It's because, again, they do 100% pro-Trump propaganda. They don't even pretend to care about facts. And I'm not saying that Fox News cares about facts. It's just they're actually less likely. OANN is even less likely to report on any factual information than Fox News. And I never thought that would be possible. But it is. And so there's that. Okay. But again, more to it, right? It's not just Fox News and the Fox hosts that Trump is going after. No. It's Rupert Murdoch. And he's angry at Fox, according to Sherman. Angry at Murdoch for not controlling his network to cover for the president. Now that's interesting. Because, look, Fox News was literally created to cape for Republicans. I mean, that's the original vision by Roger Ailes when he, took over the company, right, and started Fox News. He said, this is going to be the propaganda arm of the Republican Party. And he ruled with an iron fist. And now Roger Ailes is gone, and they're not doing that anymore. There are some people at Fox News, like Chris Wallace, that betray that purpose and allow some journalism to happen. And that's interesting. And that's why, by the way, Hannity and Wallace hate each other. Hannity is a true believer in the original purpose of the network, and he continues to do what the network was originally created for, to be on the side of Trump at this point, who was the president of the United States, who's a Republican. And so it doesn't matter what happens. Sean Hannity will always take the side of Donald Trump as is intended. But the rest of Fox News isn't 100% on the side of Donald Trump anymore. Again, there are Fox hosts like Sandra Smith and other smaller hosts, as well as Chris Wallace, that are not doing that are actually trying to do a little bit of journalism here and there, and ask some tough questions to Republicans. Now, that doesn't mean that Fox News isn't still incredibly biased towards Republicans. Of course he is. Of course it is, right? But I'm saying it's less so without the direction of Roger Ailes. And so there is a shift to where Rupert Murdoch is saying, how do we exist in a post-Trump presidency, in a post-Trump world? And we are going to start working towards that and preparing for that just in case it happens. But, again, you've got the other side, which is Hannity and Jeanine Pirro that are Trump sycophants. They're now going to clash with the people who are trying to actually do news. And look, again, that doesn't mean that they're not biased or conservative, but they will challenge, Republicans now and then, which has Donald Trump super pissed. because he's all about loyalty. Sources who've spoken with Trump told Sherman that Trump thinks Murdoch wants him to lose. Trump definitely thinks Rupert is not in his corner, according to another Republican close to the White House. Murdoch has told friends privately that he thinks Trump will lose in November. While that doesn't necessarily mean he wants Trump to lose, he may be steering the network to do a safer distance from Trump to keep the network from being shut out of a Biden administration. A source told Vanity Fair, quote, "It's really all about business for Rupert." Now, again, you think a businessman like Donald Trump would understand that. Well, it turns out, no, because Donald Trump is a failed businessman, and all he cares about is his ego and his loyalty, and more importantly, to keep his power. And he needs a propaganda network in order to defend him at all costs. And for Fox News, that's not good for their business. It's like, no, we can't openly do that much propaganda. We're still going to do propaganda for Republicans. I mean, again, that's our purpose, right? That's what we do. But we need to still try to appear to be a little bit more fair and balanced, and not just be openly blatant propaganda, which, again, they still are if you're really paying attention to Fox News. But they're trying to make the appearance of not being so open about it. And so, now, again, one source recalled a call where Trump had screamed at Murdoch over the phone when it comes to Fox's numbers. Quote, "They had a humongous blow up. Trump yelled that Fox's coverage is unfair and the polling is fake." And Murdoch, of course, held his ground, saying, no, our polls are pretty accurate, right? Yeah, imagine that. You've got somebody who says that the polling, in the face of polling that's not favorable, says fake news. Instead of course, strategizing on how to fix it, they attack the messenger and say, it's fake. It's fake. Well, that's who we're dealing with. That's who Donald Trump is. Not a very intelligent person, not a very stable genius, very not stable at all. He's deeply insecure and blames other people for his failures. Everything else but him. It's taking a complete lack of responsibility. But, as I always point out, this is who this is who Donald Trump really is. And so he's going to stop embracing Fox as much and really kind of double down on OANN and other, right-wing propaganda networks who will actually do his bidding.